tonight. They got to see me.
I think if you got a guy like that, you build like that, he's 6'4", guy, you got to trust him.
Everybody watching tonight. So I tell you what, if you get fired into the next, you're in the wrong business. We control us. We run this. And anybody coming out of the house,
They got Jordan Davis last season. They bring Fletcher Cox back from Philly. So I'm sitting there like, we need to put something on this offensive line to combat that. What is going on? Welcome back to the End Zone Experience. The Dallas Cowboys head into the bye week 4-2 as predicted. Man, the keys to victory in this one, we said to be aggressive in the passing game. They came out early. They did that. We prevented the big plays downfield as well as, keeping pressure on Justin Herbert, man. How you feeling? 4-2 headed into the bye week. Great victory coming from our side.
Hey, look, we had to do it, man. We had to do it. And it feels good just to get back on the winning side. You know what I mean? If we was heading into that bye week, you know what I mean, these last couple games, losing to San Fran and losing to Kellen Moore, oh, man, I could imagine how it would be. But, man, it feels good. Obviously, it's obviously positive and negatives within every game, right? You know what I'm saying? It's not always perfect. But I think it was some positive things we've seen. And like you talk about those keys to victory, I think the main thing was obviously getting those playmakers back involved. I think everybody's feeling good. The players, everybody's kind of happy. And I think it's a good thing to do to carry this into the bye week, man, for sure.
Absolutely, man. This is a game we actually trailed in time of possession, oddly enough, man. It was almost an even split. It went 8 seconds the other way. Rushing attempts, 26 rushing attempts, 96 yards, not the best. But if you break down the plays, man, both teams had 61 plays. Yards differed. Both teams had 10 drives. So, we called the exact same amount of plays, the same number of drives, and Mike McCarthy's offensive scheme outmatched Kellen Moore's.
I don't know how much. I don't know. Like we handle business, but I think a lot of that was Dak. Crazy enough, man. And I felt like he would have one of these games going into it. I was really feeling that way, and I'm glad he rebounded. And I think he shut the haters up this week. You know what I mean? They got to find something else. They got to move the goalposts again. But Dak was very impressive, and that leads me right into my tone setters, right? Dak Prescott, right? So Dak dotted him up, man. He definitely dotted him up, man. And you look at the passing chart. And you look at it, but a lot of this was his legs and being able to move the ball around. A lot of plays was breaking down, but I think it was good to see Dak kind of doing what he wanted to do. Not that it was backyard football per se,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't the normal just step back time and throw it away. He actually went out there, put the team on his back this week, man, and for sure we needed that, man. He made plays all over the field.
No, Dak was phenomenal. You mentioned a lot of this was him accomplishing this on broken down plays, man, and his mobility definitely played a factor in him becoming a tone setter in this game. But another tone setter, man, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb had a phenomenal football game. I believe he went over a buck, and we kind of called a big day out of CD leading into this one. So as you said, feed the playmakers the ball, and that's what we did.
Yeah, right away too. You know what I mean? It seemed like every time they went to CD, it was a chunk play.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time, and obviously when we talk about players being happy, I know he's real happy today. He got a whole different tone to him. But CD is that dude. Let's not get that mistaken. It shouldn't take all of this to get CD the ball, though. You know what I mean? That's the only thing for me. But definitely, man, he came out right away. He imposed his will. The only thing for me, I felt like he could have had even more targets.
Yeah.
Like take some back from what Gallup got and give him all to CD. You know what I mean? But definitely a tone setter. And my other guy, man, is obviously Osa, man. Osa is that dude. You know what I mean? We've been talking about him, his progression so far and what he's doing this year. Definitely becoming a blue chip cornerstone player that we got to keep around. And they asked, I seen it from Patsy Walker, like, what are you doing during the bye week? And he comes out and say he sent the coaches all of his film or whatever, and he just wants them to tell him what he got to do better. And he's going straight back to work. So, man, beast. That's the mentality you got to have. Those three guys, I felt like set the tone for this game, and even like that first drive when they came down, short field, got the 7 on us. Outside of that, I felt like we handled business, man. So, definitely solid for those guys all the way around.
Absolutely. To dive a little deeper into the Dak Prescott side of it, right? So we had some questions last week with his mobility, and Sanford had him looking stuck. It was like he was seeing ghosts, man. But the way he was able to move around was impressive. the little read option that he took off to the house with, man, that was nice. That's right there what set the tone,
And both time.
right.
Like how many times have he did that read option and he was like, just take it, Dak. Just take it. We talked about that before, and I was like, look, maybe he's just setting it up. And
Hmm.
I know the people, everybody on film. I know the Chargers were looking at that like, there's no way Dak taking that, right? And you know, what I mean, he showed what he could do when he makes those plays, and I think that's something we can incorporate more. But with Mike McCarthy, I just don't know. Like, was that a one game thing or not? But I think for this game, oh man, it was exciting to see, man. It reminded me of old Dak. And Dak, when he's doing things like that, is he obviously at his most dangerous, to be truthful.
I do kind of wish that we would have saved that a little bit. I would have
No,
loved to do that against.
no,
I
we
would have loved that against
listen.
Philly, though.
I would have loved it against San Fran. So listen, we ain't saving nothing, bro. We needed this dub going into the bye week. Whatever they need to work on and those type of things, the conversations they need to have, they need to be having that now. And I think it's crazy, right? So I did recently see the quote. So obviously Mike McCarthy, he was on Mad Dog Radio today, and I thought this was interesting. You know what I mean? And obviously, there's a lot more to go into this quote. But obviously, he says, I love Dak Prescott as a quarterback. I've never seen a quarterback under a microscope like he is. And honestly, that's the truth, man. It's, you know, what I mean, it doesn't matter. It just seems like when he plays well, it's always something else, right? Like, I don't know to a lot of people that the defense really shut the Chargers down, but they got
No,
17 points. They normally putting up what was I think it was what 27 points a game, 28,
yeah,
something like that.
27.
They ain't get close to that, right? Um, or it's something else. The run game would have been strong, or it's something that was supporting that. Maybe the offensive line blocked great, but really this game, I can say none of that. I can say CD showed up. The offensive line had its struggles. Pollard, the run game did nothing to support Dak, right? And the defense, I do think they played well, but I think Dak willed that game, and I think that says a lot about him. And you know, what I mean, let's go ahead and get into stock up and stock down. So obviously, we talked about Dak Prescott, right?
Hmm.
Stock is up, perfectly what we wanted to see, right? Next up, another guy, Osa.
Yeah,
So talked about Osa. I don't think we can talk enough about Osa, how disruptive he is. Um, kind of becoming like that. I don't know. It's kind of like a battle between him and D Law. D Law is truth. He's the truth
right.
as far as setting that tone. He's another guy. And I know you got a couple guys on your list as well that you want to talk about.
No, it's D-Law is like he's like grandfathered into the stock up and slash tone setters, man.
Yeah,
His motor just doesn't stop running. Uh, Stock up for me, staying on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, we mentioned CD as a tone setter, but Brandon Cooks, man, finally showed up, decided to play some ball. And I think the stat was like Dak was 16 for 16 throwing to CD and Brandon Cooks or
which
something
is
like that.
crazy. It's
But
crazy, man. Yeah.
absolutely. And what's crazier is we finally got to see an emergence from Brandon Cooks. It sucks that it was, in a day that Michael Gallup didn't have his best night, but that's what we brought him in here to do, was to make a difference, further down the field. And he was able to do that. He even got a touchdown for us.
Yeah, and it looked good. I like that they was using him in a variety of ways, like the end of rounds, giving him the spacing to do what he wanted to do. Man, I thought that was good, and it just like why haven't we been doing that? But we
Right.
knew, Los Angeles pass defense was terrible. But I mean, with all that being said, that pass rush is still very dangerous, and I think it was important to get a guy like that involved. You want to kind of get that built in and kind of build that confidence up. And I think they wanted to do that going into this game. So definitely solid from Brandon Cooks.
My last stock up of the week, man, Marquise Bell, making the most out of his opportunities, man.
Yeah.
We had questions about the linebacker position. He was able to fill in, a little bit in that box safety slash linebacker role and made the most of the that he got on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Marquise Bell, man. Listen, what is he? I don't know, just a little bit over 200, but he's in there filling the gap, swiveling in, making plays, man. And you know what I mean? He's hitting guys and they're stopping in their tracks. But you know what I mean, as far as like being aggressive and doing what he did, the speed between him and the LVE was I ain't gonna lie, it was hard not to notice. And I'm not saying obviously he's the better answer. We would love to have LVE back in there, but I think it's cool that he was able to come in there and answer the bell. And I thought he had an all-around solid game. So I'm excited to see, you know what I mean, when Wanye Thomas get back in there. Because if you remember, like early in the season, those were the guys that was coming downhill and kind of setting the tone, and being those integral players as far as like in that run defense, which you wouldn't expect. So he was
Right.
able to get those reps back. I'm excited to see Wanye back in there, but Marcus Bell stock all the way up, bro. I'm excited to see what he can do moving forward.
And just to stay on that Marquise Bell side of things, man, this defense was able to shut Austin Eckler down, and I think Bell had a big part in that as well as Osa, and who we mentioned as a stock up candidate. You got anybody else stock up this week?
My last one. I mean, I feel like it's more that we can name, but who deserves it, right? De'Ron Bland. De'Ron
Yeah,
Bland is the truth, man. He's slow. It seems like every game, right? Whether he makes those plays or doesn't, it's like he's always got his hands on the ball. He's always involved. He's always there. He may give up a little bit of plays here and there, but at the end of the day, I think we can comfortably say he's a game changer, right? And that I think it's fitting that what I mean, he's becoming this player right now. It just sucks that he's doing it without Trayvon Diggs out because I would have loved to
right.
see those guys pair up. But I can kind of almost, I ain't gonna say kind of, between him and Stephon Gilmore, I feel like he's kind of rose to the occasion more within that absence, right? So shout out to De'Ron Bland, another solid game. And it just seemed like every day, that confidence is going up. He's better and better. And what I mean? I don't even want to say he's on his way no more. I think he's arrived. I love De'Ron.
I Duran's the truth, man. Diving into stock down. Obviously, we were talking about Michael Gallup. He had some Nelson Aguilar hands Monday night, but we can't have that, man. Especially, he was a stock up candidate. What, last week, the week before, doing well in primetime, man. It all the eyes on you. You got to do better than that.
Yeah, I mean, especially like the stat you said, what I mean? It seemed like everybody else was clicking and doing him. I just don't know what it is with Gallup. You know what I mean? Some of it was drops and some of it is just not getting the separation. It just, I don't know. He had a couple games where, what I mean, a few games ago, I was like, okay, maybe he's slowly getting back into it. But just the inconsistency and then obviously the showing he put out right there, I don't even know if I ever get that feel again, right? You know what I mean? And truthfully, like we paying him that money, right? We're gonna
Hmm.
pay him that money regardless. So at some point, you got to kind of think about it like we're gonna pay him with whether you on the field or off the field. I think you do kind of have that conversation to put in a Jalen Tolbert, man. You know what I mean? Definitely stock down. And it seems like we like that key that we had, right? It was forcing your playmakers the ball. And I think the Cowboys went into that thing like, yeah, I'm gonna force my playmakers the ball. Like, let me force it to CD, answer the bell. I'm gonna go ahead and force it to Cooks. Let's get him involved. All right, Michael Gallup, can we build your confidence up and get you going here into this bye week? And I don't think he answered the bell. So um, tough night for him, tough showing. Stock definitely down for Michael Gallup, and I think it's going to be some questions heading into this bye week. I think the coaches are definitely going to get together and have a conversation about, what I mean, do we got to kind of entertain the idea of putting Tobin out there?
I think it's definitely worth a discussion. Especially, we're 4-2. We just got to keep clicking on offense, and things aren't going perfectly on offense. So we got to keep fixing those pieces to try to get it that way. Stock down from me, not really a stock down, but more of a where has Jake Ferguson been? Because the beginning of the season he's getting all these targets, but I don't know how he's become unincorporated in the game plan. If he's just not getting open, what the problem is there, but he is, to me, one of the better playmakers on that offense, and he should be getting those touches.
Yeah, it's surprising, man. And I even played him in some fantasy leagues. I just had I don't know. I felt like it was a city game, but you always expect a guy like Jake to just once in a while, if he gets the opportunities, he's a big yet guy. So I don't know if it's as much as him or as much as it leads back to a play calling and type of deal of like finding a guy like that. I think it was the emphasis on getting the receivers the ball, getting those guys involved. Obviously, San Fran was like a watch for everybody. But yeah, I would like to see Jake more involved moving forward. I think he could be a key guy. But where's Waldo?
Right.
I obviously I haven't seen him either. And lastly, it's a few guys here and there you could talk about, but I just think the offensive line kind of in total. I think Zach, he played okay. I think Tyler Smith played okay. Outside of a few penalties. Tyler Biadasz, what I mean? I didn't think he had a good game. And then like even Tyron Smith, like I don't know. Terrence Still as well. I don't think those guys had the best game. So what I'm gonna do, I don't want to just single anybody out. I can, but I would just say the offensive line, period. I'm gonna say stock down. At once I thought it was San Fran. I said, okay, it's San Fran, they in y'all head. LA, they come out here and I will say they kind of imposed their will a little bit, but I think it was more so that kind of, covering for those wounds and doing what he had to do. But the offensive line got to tighten up heading to this bye week for sure.
I agree with that completely. We talk about establishing the run and running the ball, and we come away from this game with under 100 yards on the ground and 3.7 yards per rush, man, and that's not going to cut it. we put Tony Pollard on a franchise tag. We're paying him over $10 million. You got to get him cooking. You got to get Tony going. Tony is a beast, and if the O line isn't going to create these, is it the O line? Is it Tony? Maybe he's not fully recovered from that injury. I don't know, but something's just not clicking in the run game.
I mean, they got to figure it out. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit of I don't even know. I'm not gonna say this. Tony Pollard, bro, is electric, right? And we've seen that he's back, right? And I just think it's a little bit of the offensive line, obviously. Guys was in and out of the lineup. Do they need time to gel? Maybe, right? But I think a lot of his scheme too, man. I'm so tired of us running out of shotgun, right? Um, and a guy like that, of course, you want to get him east and west. I understand that, but for how fast and how explosive he is, get a guy a head start, man. Just
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? If you got to put that kind of center, what you bring Hunter Lipke in for?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like one thing I even said about Kellen Moore is, you know what I mean? Yes, we hated that jumbo package, and obviously we're talking about Kellen Moore. It's kind of weird we just played him, right? But listen, when he put, I think it was what Conor McGovern at fullback, and he allowed Tony Pollard to get those yards full of steam, bro, chunk yardage. Or you got a
Right.
guy like Zach and Terrence Steele on that side. Just let those guys get downhill and let Tony Pollard get ahead of him. I'm so tired of the shotgun, and you just kind of giving a fake or that damn draw on third, second down. I'm so tired of it, man. I don't think it's Tony Pollard. I just think Mike McCarthy got to dig in his bag a little bit more, man. It's so conservative to me. I hate it, man. And that's one of the biggest negatives I got coming out of this thing.
To stay on the negative side of it, man, penalties, man. This was a game riddled with laundry on the football field. All in all, it was 20 penalties between both teams, and the rest were just having fun, bro. They were flinging them everywhere. Some plays it was justified, some not so much on both sides, man. But it's a different league now, man. The penalty on Curse for the helmet to helmet. What's he supposed to do in that situation? He's
Facts.
going
That
in for
what?
a tackle.
Yeah.
Nobody's hitting anybody like that on purpose anymore. It's accidental. He didn't narrow it. Like it doesn't make sense to me, man. But for once, the penalties didn't come back to bite us. We did have 11 for 85 yards, and that is pretty crucial. And that's something that we just got to try to get this coaching staff to tighten up, man, especially in this bye week.
Yeah, the penalties hurt. But I mean, I think that was the main thing of obviously extending drives for them. I think, like I said, outside of that first drive, which was short field, I think the defense answered the bell. The guys they played well. They played well, right? But the biggest penalty they missed, man, I'm just like, explain to me what's going on with the punt return rule. Like when I'm watching that, I'm just like, oh man, the guy illegally touched him, his hands to the face, he pushes him into Kevontae Turpin. I can't even blame Jalen Tobin for what he did. He looks up, he see guys racing to the ball, he makes a play. But after that, I'm like,
It was a heads up play.
yeah, I kind of shout him out and commend him for that, to be
Yeah.
honest. So that was kind of weird to me. But after they was like, okay, we're going to commercial break, we're going to review that. I'm like, what are we talking about here?
Well, they were up to
you
something.
know, yeah. So I mean, we was able to withstand that, and I think Dak said a major thing when they was talking to him after the game. How do you describe this? And he said resilient, and I was like, perfect. You know what I mean? It was a resilient game from us. Yes, we went to the end with it, but people will make it like the Chargers are a bad team. It's still a good team, and then
Mhm.
it's tough to win on the road. We needed this one, and I'm glad we came out of with the victory, man. So, couple negatives. Obviously, we talked about that. The run game, and obviously the penalties, and then obviously Mike McCarthy again, man. And one of the main things is obviously the play calling we talked about. I mean, he was aggressive. I felt like they took more shots, which was cool, but I felt like it's still vanilla in there. And I don't feel like he's doing enough at a lot of times, man. So I don't know what to do there. But then let's talk about, I mean, in the half, they go in there, they got 2 timeouts left, and he just chooses to run the clock out and take a field goal there. How do you feel about Mike McCarthy in those situations? Is he just scared to let Dak dig in his bag? Does he believe in his quarterback? That's kind of the questions that I'm kind of forming in my head right now.
No, I'm very pro point. So for me, we had the one we go for it on fourth down. That's the read option. Dak scores. The Chargers come down. They go for it on fourth down. They don't get it. We come back down, and these weren't consecutive drives. We go for it on fourth down. We don't get it. And then this was our third fourth down situation, right? So we're 1 for 2 on fourth down. Is what 8 seconds left headed into the half. And they just assume he was going to take the timeout because that's what, seems like the logical thing. But given the situation, you kick the points, you go into the half with the lead. There was a lot of blunders this past weekend, man. I don't know if you caught the Oregon game. They did the same thing. Didn't take the points before the Giants game with the Bills, bro.
I don't. I mean,
Same
I
thing
get it.
happened there.
I get it, right? I get it. Yes, take the points. And at the same time, kudos to Brandon Aubrey. He's been automatic. So yes, if you want to say free points, cool. But it's like at some point where we are right now, you gotta play to win and not play to lose. And how much confidence do you get in your quarterback? But not only that, your offense, being that we've been going through those red zone woes, how much that going in there and getting points right there and saying, I believe in you, you getting those 7, I think it does a lot for a team like that. And just to say, nah, we just gonna play it safe and we're gonna take the 3. Cool. But then I don't think you gave your team the confidence that you believed in in those situations because 48 seconds and 2 timeouts, that's a lot of time to do work. And if you're scared, it's things that you could do within that to still play it safe, but still get your 3 points, if that makes sense.
No, I don't know. I guess I'm on the other side of this one. I'm happy with the 3.
I'm
I
happy. I'm
think
happy because we won.
right,
Cool.
but
But it,
I'm saying the conservative nature there. I guess I'm cool with, especially going into the half. You know, you get to come out with the lead. You trust your defense. You're going against a bad passing defense, and the red zone efficiency hasn't been there. So you know why take the risk? I don't know.
I
I'm
don't know.
definitely on the other side of that one.
I don't know. You know, I like to be aggressive, man. I mean, we won, so it's not a problem. But if we came out here and let's say they had just won by like let's say 4 points or something like that, then this would have been a major talking point. It would have been like, dang, y'all had a chance to go up and put more points on the board, but y'all didn't. But it's not a problem because obviously we won that game, and obviously we picking and choosing. But it's just one of those things that I think may not bite us now, but I think in the playoffs and as we get deeper into those seasons, we gotta have opportunities and obviously punch it in and go for things like that. Obviously, don't be too aggressive, but I do think Dak not Dak, but Mike McCarthy is the interceptions thing. I think has got to him a little bit. At some point, you gotta cut Dak loose and trust your quarterback. And I think Dak kind of did a little bit of the day where he was just like, "Man, I'm gonna just go ahead and play ball." You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
so much of it is timing, 1, 2, 3 step drop, nothing there. You do this, but it was good to see him kind of just like, "I let me everything breaks down. Let me show y'all what I can do, man."
It's crazy though, because like you said, you can play it from both sides, man. If let's say they do decide to get aggressive, what is McCarthy doing? Why didn't he take points? You know what I mean? So
That's
you take
true.
the neutral decision there. You head into the half. I don't know. I think if I was in that situation, what I probably would have done too.
But hey, we got a dub. We got the dub. So listen, that's more the negative sides. Enough with the negatives, man. We did come off a dub. So man, as far as good things, positive things that you saw, like what did you love coming out of this game?
The run defense was phenomenal, man. We went against an elite running back and held that team 253 rushing yards on 23 attempts, 2.3 per carry.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And this wasn't the high scoring game that I think a lot of people thought it would have been. So the opportunities to run the ball were definitely there. They just couldn't get the ball moving on the ground. Similar to us, we just had a little more positivity there. We had a little more that worked out on the ground from our side. But that to me was my biggest concern defensively headed into this one was Eckler running all over us.
Yeah, we shut Eckler down, bro. I
Yeah.
believe it was like 1.9 yards per carry. And listen, what's so crazy about that, right? Like we in the chat, we talking before the game, and I see that boost pop up on DraftKings, and it's like, what was it?
They
Tony
got us
Pollard
too.
and Eckler that combined for 100. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm taking that. And and then I'm like, damn, bro, they really got me, man. And we shut down Eckler. And I think that a lot of that it went into the linebackers. It went into Marquise Bell playing how he was playing, but man, the defensive line got active. I know it didn't all show up on the stat sheet as far as like the sacks and things like that, but the pressures was amazing. Those guys was getting after Herbert all day. I think he made amazing plays, but luckily Michael Parsons, even though it didn't show up in the stat sheet per se with all the sacks and everything like that, but he came through when it mattered most. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And boy, did he. You
That
know what I
sack
mean?
at the end of the
Boy,
game,
I
bro.
was so hyped.
Ooh.
I was so hyped when he made that sack, man. Listen, I
And he
think I woke.
smushed him too.
If the neighbors was in the bed, I probably woke him up a little bit. So Micah, yeah. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. Solid game from him, as always. But when you get in triple team and it's all that attention, sometimes it's hard to show up like that, but you showed up when it mattered most. So but as far as the positives go, yes, that run defense definitely showed up.
Bro, that sack by Michael was phenomenal. Like it was crazy. I was so fired up. getting the ball to the playmakers, as we mentioned before, not to keep rehashing it, man. But we finally got Cooks involved. That's what we've been waiting for. There's some confidence there headed into the bye. But as you mentioned, the Gallup thing, we're gonna probably have some questions answered, week 8 when we come back out there. But I think that's it as far as my side of things. You got anything else?
Nah, this was fun, bro. Let's see what we got, man. If there's anything I wanted to bring up, right? Let's see. Simple things. So I think we hit on Mike McCarthy enough. Some of this I want to save. You know what I mean? Got to save a little bit, right? We hit into this bye week, so we'll be back and we'll get more in depth into the bye week. Some of the changes that we want to see. But another thing is recently coming out of the Cowboys will be aggressive head into this trade deadline, and that we will be buyers, right? So position wise, is there any position that you want to see the Cowboys attack heading into this thing? And that'll be my last question and my last words.
I think the obvious answer would be linebacker, but how many solid linebackers are available at on the trade market? I don't know. I think we should address the running back room. I do think we need a solid thumper in there, somebody to change pace. And at the same time, we might need another body on that offensive line. I don't know if that would be a depth piece or a potential starting piece, and we could shuffle some things around, but something's just not clicking in the running game. And I feel like defensively, we're sound enough to continue making noise in the NFC. But if we're not going to be able to run the ball on these good teams, we're going to find ourselves in trouble.
Yeah, I think you said something solid there where you said depth. You know what I mean? I was wondering, it says being aggressive, right? But I'm wondering how aggressive do you get and what guys are really out there, right? We talked about Sertan before, as far as the cornerback position, but are you really looking for number one guy at this point, which makes it interesting? And then I think at linebacker, like you said, the market is scarce, but who is really out there that's available? Obviously, we got Rashawn Evans that's gearing up. I think he'll be in play soon. But and then running back is weird too because I feel like we got guys. I love Rico. I just feel like we haven't been using those guys enough, so I don't really know what we need there as well. So it's kind of weird. I don't know how aggressive we'll be, but I think it'll be interesting as far as just to keep an eye on. But obviously, we in play. They talking about it, but don't give up like nothing crazy. Like I know you was talking about it before the show where you was like, bro, and we kind of talk about it all the time. Where it's like, can you imagine if we had gave up that first round pick for Jamal Adams? Well, I think
All
it was
them picks.
two first round picks, right? And it turned out to be
Was
Michael
it
Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, I believe.
Micah, CD, and Trayvon, I
Co-
believe.
Come on, man.
As
three
for
corner,
Jamal Adams,
three cornerstone players, right? So
speaking of where's Waldo, Jamal
we
Adams.
kill it in the first round. The jury's still out on Mozzie, but you keep those picks, right? Certain guys we could talk about it, but I just don't know what we can get out there. We already kind of got rid of our I think it was our fifth, our sixth is gone. That's Brandon Cooks, Gilmore. Um, I don't know what else is out there. Obviously, we get some complimentary picks back, but it'd be interesting to keep our on to see what we really want to attack out there. But linebacker is always in play. I think we need some depth there for sure. That'll be my main one.
I think the craziest thing too, man, is headed into it. The season we were kind of talking about, Tampa Bay is probably going to stink. Probably get some of those guys on the trade block. The Rams are going to stink. Probably get like an Aaron Donald on the trade block. But those teams being good, like I don't really know who's available, man. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
guys that we thought might be for sale this time of year, just not for sale.
that's true. I did think at this time it could be a potential fire sale for the Rams. It's not that. I think the Broncos is like, yeah, you probably can call them and see what's going on, but it's like Sertan, cool. Jerry Judy, obviously, you know what I mean. Steve Smith said don't call for him, so I don't know. I don't know if Jerry
Boy,
Jones
boy,
is
Steve went
called.
off.
I don't know if Jerry Jones is calling Steve Smith, but um, I don't even really know if we need that either. You know what I'm saying? I think you have guys in place. But yeah, like I said, man, we gotta look around. And by the way, Philly just got Julio Jones, so those guys like that laying around.
Julio's washed.
Yeah, I just wanted you to say that.
Julio's washed, bro. That when I saw that and they were trying to make news of it, I was just kind of like, Julio, like that
Yeah,
ain't the Ravens signed OBJ, and we're not talking about that. The OBJ tour was nothing.
boy, did we dodge a bullet there.
What? And did you see what was Buddy
Man.
from Pittsburgh, the corner that they got, Joey Porter, right?
Yeah,
Strapped up OBJ when he got that pick. It came to the sideline talking bad about OBJ.
I
I think
forgot. I forgot what he was. He was like,
he came over and was like, I strapped his old ass.
he said, nah, he
Crazy.
said that, but it was something deeper. Like, I think it's time that man should go ahead and spend some family time or something. I don't got a direct quote, but it was one of those ones where I was like, yeah, that kind of hurt. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But the trade deadline weird, but I think we're smart in that aspect. Steven is frugal anyway. So if we go for a top guy, I don't think we'll give up a first round, second round pick anyway. But like I said, Derrick Henry, obviously he's on the trade block. Don't think we'll do that. But would I take him? Cool. Sertan, would I take him? Cool. But let's see what happens, man. But
I
other than that, that's all I got.
no, real quick, I would definitely give up a day 2 pick for Derrick Henry as long as Tennessee eats some of that money. We can get a rental from Derrick Henry. That's what Tony. That sounds exciting, actually.
I
But
mean, if you're serious about going for it all, why not?
that to
Why
me is
not?
one of those go for it all moves. I don't think Sertain is that move only because of the Trayvon injury. Like we got the pieces there, so that's only going to work for like this season for real. Like I really think Deron Bland is one of those guys on a cheap deal that you're getting solid production out of. Why push that to the side? But that's all I got from my side. I appreciate you all for tuning into the End Zone Experience. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. You got any final words?
Nah, this is the end zone experience, man. And listen, who do y'all want?
Yeah.
Cowboy Nation, who do y'all want, man? Talk to us a little bit. But other than that, man, look, we'll be back in a little bit, man. And we're gonna talk the landscape of this whole thing, the NFC East, and where we at right now, because it's little things they ain't talking about right now, right? We right where we need to be. We still one game back. That San Fran lost. Why it hurt? It was good the following week to see those teams lose. The Eagles lost to the Jets. We ain't gonna talk about that though. San Fran lose to the Browns. While I do think the Browns is a good team, that's a loss, and like we right where we need to be, right? Um, those quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, he's not playing well. They ain't talking about interceptions no more, though. Remember that, right? So this is what we're dealing with. And it's good to see our guys respond. I'm happy for Dak, man. I think he went through a lot last week. And he talked about being resilient. He's a resilient guy. So man, Cowboy Nation, stand up, we back. And let's go ahead. Quest for 6, man. Let's fight through this.